Alrighty, well, we're going to get started. So, topic, as I said before, very near and dear, to everyone's hearts. It's there's a lot of, there's a lot of controversy in the marketplace at the moment, and I guess, my outcome here today is really just to, just to get people to start thinking about, thinking about their professional services business and what it might look like into the future. So a lot of the content that will come today will come from my attendance at the recent Beaton Capital event down in Sydney on the 11th of March that was held after the Client Choice Awards, and the topic of that day was simply clients and firms of the future, how to compete. There's 125 thought leaders in a room, who participated in the process. So the things that we're going to cover today is really obtain an understanding of where professional services industry is heading. Specifically today I'm talking mainly about law and accounting firms, but a lot of the content is just as relevant to other professional service industries, and I know that we've got a few people on the call that are from areas outside of law and accounting. We're going to also talk about identifying clients' needs will change over the next 10 years. So that was really, some stuff that was workshopped with these guys about what they perceived, clients of the future would be looking for from professional service providers, and then closing out with how professional services providers might compete moving forward. So, just to kick it off. Who am I? My name's David Rose. I have the privilege of serving as Managing Director of Vincents. I've done so for the last 3.5 years, but also spent the last 5 years as the Head of Taxation and Business Solutions Business Unit, 20 years as a professional service provider. I currently have a client base of around $1.2 million, and during the time I've spent 10 years out in commerce and senior finance positions, including public companies. The topic is a topic that's near and dear to my heart. It's something that I've spent quite a deal of time looking for. So looking forward to sharing with you guys on the call today. So disruption, just generally, the two terms are terms that you'll hear more and more. As I said, there's a lot of people out there, waving it as a controversial stick, but as it pertains to business, disruption is just simply radical change in an industry business strategy involving the introduction of a new product or service that creates a new market. The thing that's probably the most responsible, for the disruption is globalization and, rapid advancing in technology. I think that it's fair to say, and we would see that technology is changing every single day, and as professional service providers, sometimes it is a little difficult just to keep up with the changing world and understanding what's going on. So when it comes to the word disruption, the business that would certainly come to everyone's mind is Uber. Uber is a disruptor in the marketplace, and whether the taxi industry like it or not, Uber is certainly, a business that's here to stay. It's certainly a business that has traction, and it's certainly a business that a lot of people are talking about. So from the professional services industry, where are we? Where are we heading? So again, this is not, about making, things right or wrong. It's just really providing observations of what what we're seeing in the marketplace, and certainly through some of the thought leaders that actively talking about it. So the belief is that clients of professional services firms are really looking for value, and junior staff now drafting legal documents or doing processing work for income tax returns or financial statements, and then having a partner or a senior person review that document does not amount to value. Clients are certainly more savvy about what they can and can't do themselves, and professional services firms, in my opinion, need to adapt to what the clients are doing. Online reputation management will be an issue. Think of you as a professional service provider been ranked by your clients in the similar way that that TripAdvisor do? I saw an application being developed whilst I was in the Philippines, and I saw it again. Last week where Victor Jiang from SkillSapien was talking about it, and just in terms of what that might look like. So picture LinkedIn, which is basically your standard part of LinkedIn is here, and like over on the right hand side you've got a you've been rated by your client, you've got your average charge out rate in there, and then if people are wanting to connect with you, basically your your availability for an appointment can be booked straight through there. I think that we'll definitely see a continued commoditization of service offerings provided by professional services providers, and requiring more narrowly defined specialties. I'm seeing more and more of that sort of thing popping up in the marketplace, both in accounting and law firms. Definitely a continued shift towards fixed fee pricing. What that will do to time recording, yet to be seen. But obviously there's a lot of talk about eventually we'll be at the point where we're not doing timesheets anymore, which to some people that might concern them, but some other people it might be a good thing. Basically, what we're hearing is that within 5 to 7 years, this statistic, 50% of professional services be sourced from online channels. So think of projects that are put online for people to to bid on, and again, not making things right or wrong. These sorts of things are already well and truly in existence in the marketplace. You'll see a lot of tradie applications where people can source someone online in that particular vein. I believe that we're going to see a market developed where professional service providers are either paying marketing people for lead generation. We're starting to see that happen in the US and New Zealand, in accounting practices, where even marketers acquiring equity interests in those businesses. Definitely we'll see professional service providers using more automated software to deliver services, both accounting and law. Certainly seeing a lot more of that being developed these days. And here's an out there prediction for you. This Victor Jiang from SkillSapien thinks that we'll get to the point where pricing of professional services will fluctuate in real time based on market demand and supply, and be sourced like airline tickets and hotel bookings. So will we see that in our lifetimes or our occupational lifetimes? Who knows? But it's certainly an interesting concept. So just in terms of law, so we'll deal with law first and then talk a little bit about the world of accounting. So in law, overseas, you've seen online applications like Rocket Lawyer and LegalZoom. Two businesses that are growing extremely quickly despite attempts to try and curb them and get them shut down. Had injections of over $100 million in capital, just to help them grow and market. Why are they pushing online? It's simple, low overheads. There's a scalability and searchability. Then you can get instant access to a network of lawyers just offering discounts that you might not be able to achieve if you were trying to source yourself direct. So it's like almost like a procurement group buying type of model. Remember the days as lawyers when you had precedent and you could make some great money out of it using that precedent time and time again. Those days definitely have gone. Riverview Law, which is a UK based firm which is owned by DLA Piper, they basically provide fixed fees and an online platform with a whole host of documents and info that clients can access before they even take on a lawyer in that space. In Australia, that you see it through organisations like LexisNexis and Legal Vision. I saw recently there's a client of mine who's invested money into an organisation called Conveyancing Genius, which is about to launch, and basically they have a dashboard which enables buyers, sellers, agents, the lawyers involved in the transaction, conveyancers, to communicate real time in relation to property transactions and the automation thereof. As recently this morning just brought to my attention, a local Gold Coast firm, the lawshack.com.au. If you these recordings of this will be available, but if you want to take a snapshot or click on that, have a look at the concept of fixed fee pricing, as they define it around some very key offerings. Obviously outsourcing, like in different things, is there areas of the law that can be outsourced? Absolutely. Is there ways to make things more efficient and streamlined in terms of like dictation? When I was in the Philippines, there was an organisation that I saw that just dealt with radiographers and lawyers, and basically anything that was dictated was being returned the same day. Organisations like Vincents Masons, who have businesses like Outlaw.com and Barrio, they have a consultant workforce that's engaged on a project basis, so they're not full-time employees or anything like that. They're part of a network of resources that are available to be engaged just on a project basis. And they basically, their sites say the site exists because we want you to choose our firm when you need more help. Disruptors in accounting, we've all seen Xero. It's hit over 400,000 users in the marketplace, and it has the slogan "Beautiful accounting software." Yeah, it is great accounting software and it does work, but the bigger play, there for organisations like Xero is really the data that's contained, within the software and the information that enables them to do things like procurement. For accountants, even our besties, our friends from the tax office, disrupting the industry, a la the OTA standard business reporting. If there are any accountants that are, accountants, there's quite a number of them on the line today. If you haven't or aren't aware, you should certainly do a little bit of research about that, because it's been built into accounting, bookkeeping, and payroll software. Jeff Leaper, who is two in charge, basically at the Accountants Technology Roadshow last year in October, said the technology will mean a loss of processing and compliance work for many accounting firms, and the loss means that accountants have got to adapt their offering to remain relevant. So even the tax office talking about professional service providers remaining relevant. There's a statement, a quote that's pulled out of here, is working with the industry at the present time to build something which is calling a standard chart of accounts for firms with relatively simple tax affairs. Echoes what they've done with individuals. The standard chart of accounts to, they're saying two things to a business. We're going to be automatic, make your tax returns, and two, provided your company accounts properly reflect what your business does. There's no cash draw or anything dodgy like that. We prioritise not to audit because we trust the information so implicitly. Interesting comments. I mean, a lot of the thought leaders out there, people like Greg Hayes from Hayes Knight, stuff like that, saying that people won't jump on board with this because simply they just don't trust like the tax office. But the reality is SBR is well and truly on its way. Feedback recently closed for the ATO white paper, around single touch payroll. Basically, that enables employers to electronically report payroll and super information to the ATO when employees are actually being paid, through software applications that have SBR enabled on them. So it'll in single touch payroll also streamline tax file number declarations and super voice forms. Which just providing a digital channel just to bring on new employees. Can also cut red tape by enabling government organisations to be notified when employees are terminated. And single touch payroll will be available from July 2016. So we'll continue to see the competitive fixed fee offerings that have technology and outsourcing at the back end. We recently launched ours. We're locking in on fixed fee accounting and bookkeeping offerings based on transactions that exist within the business, and incorporating a broader service offering for our clients. For those of you aware, Deloitte Private Client Connect, whilst it was 8 years in the making, they started 7 years in the making. They started in 2008. They launched in July last year, and reportedly, by the time that they report to their parent, which is 31 May, that they'll have $8 million worth of revenue coming out of that platform. The list goes on and on. There's so many other examples of it out in the marketplace. So how will clients' needs change over the next 10 years? So as I mentioned at the outset, 2 weeks ago, 125 thought leaders in a room, and they were asked this question, and the responses, ones that will follow. So the source is, Beaton Capital. If you haven't heard of George Beaton, I strongly suggest that you start following him. Whilst he's controversial, George's definitely a strategist and a researcher, and his stable contains some extremely talented people who, in my opinion, have their fingers globally on the pulse of what's happening in professional services firms. So just out of interest, is there you can just type in the box there, people seen or heard of George's work before? So we've got more no's than yeses coming through. So yeah, definitely looking up George Beaton from Beaton Capital. So here is here's the list of input. What I saw on that day was 125 people who I think really let down their individual guard as far as their firms were going, and what I thought really honestly contributed to to the process. So what do clients of the future look like? And again, wrapping up themes that we're already have already been talking about. We'll see more automation and technology used by clients. It's almost like on a monthly basis that we see better mousetraps that are being built in terms of ways that things get done. Teams with multiple service providers. So whilst you may have an accounting or law firm that you think is the one-stop shop, the general view is that people will be sourcing through people that are recognised specifically for the specialties. Collaboration in physical spaces and with social networking. Clients who are more empowered, seeing that more and more even today, because they have more information and have access to information in a similar way that we do as professional service providers. A shifting of the risk to suppliers, so that was not really only just through the accounting and law areas, but through engineers and architects and management consultants. Clients really demanding clarification of value. So that fixed fee thing that we've talked about, definitely relevant. The relationship between insourcing and outsourcing driving specialisation. So where can they get the best talent from? Current drivers of sharing risk continuing. A tension between commoditisation and bespoke. Like a number of people that I speak to certainly think that this commoditisation that's going on will cheapen what we do in the marketplace versus people's views that what they are doing is very specialised and bespoke. Again, I'm not here to to cloud the judgment part, but again, I think that commoditisation is definitely something that will move forward, and it really makes sense. I mean, if you think, accountants, 25 years ago were, the people who were doing, experts reports. They were doing internal audit work or doing audit work on their clients. We're seeing that specialty, over that period of time that's moved out. It won't be anything for, the traditional accountant to, to see, more specialties in terms of estate planning, succession planning, specifically wealth creation, and clients having an understanding of what that product entails. Clients will be expecting knowledge of them, from providers. Again, the world of online enables you to obtain, so much more information about your clients now than ever before. Clients expecting faster and sometimes more informal response. So, not prepared to wait. They want the information now. That's not surprising. If you deal with anyone with the age below 20, that's their thought processes very much. Globalization and availability of offshoring, it's happening more and more. I think there's an increased momentum around offshoring these days as well. Deregulation of the professions and regulatory change, a greater availability of qualified resources, and not only within the shores of Australia, offshore as well. And it's that commoditisation that will lead to differentiation of firms in the marketplace. In terms of loss of individual contact, which has been interfered with by procurement, you will definitely see that procurement type model develop further. I think that as professional service providers, we've sort of been that that last bastion of locking in on arrangements with clients. In a marketplace that they can source, they can get online and source a lot easier. Technology increases, certainly high-touch human contact more important. It may not be the telephone or the mobile that you're engaging with your client with, but more more of the the video conferencing Skype type scenario. It'll all be about the user experience and the ease with which business is done. Recognising also that Australia is an ageing population, and whatever opportunities stem from that. Regional shifts to low-cost areas, no surprises there. As professional services providers, as we competing more and more in the marketplace, there'll be an emphasis on making sure that our own overhead costs are something that help us remain competitive, and clients will be certainly more aware of specialisation. They will be more sophisticated buyers. Is the old mate's network gone? I'm not necessarily saying that, but I certainly know feedback even from my own clients when they come and ask me some questions. They've done some of their own research before getting there, so they're certainly more sophisticated. Outcome-based pricing, again, no surprises there. Digital communication, that's just through the increase of technology, more collaborative type arrangement, and flexible models that deal with choice, and certainly the desire to tap greater capacity, and again, just blending on what I said there before, learning faster, and clients will be more highly sophisticated. They want their providers, so the professional service providers, they want them to train and implement processes. So multi-firm, multidisciplinary service delivery, shifts in regulation, and shifts to Eastern models and cultural engagement. So some of that sort of stuff we're already experiencing, but again, the momentum with which the clients' attitudes and I guess their expectations of us as professional service providers, will change and increase significantly over the next short period of time. So, how will professional service providers compete? Basically the feedback is that, we need to shift from our traditional models into, I guess, a new model in order for us, to remain competitive. So, this next table that I sort of just run you through is Beaton's approach, and it's quite a good diagram because I think it just really talks about, competing, wrapped it up into three areas, how work is won, how work is done, and how firms are effectively governed. So we have our traditional firms on the left-hand side, and what we would term our new firms on the right-hand side. So shifting from personal brands to corporate brands. As I said to you before, we're seeing in the marketplace at the moment where, marketers, are taking equity interest in, professional service organisations because, the professional service organisations recognise that some of their strengths are not necessarily marketing. So, there's a separate sales and production team, going from time-based fees to fixed fees. In terms of the work being done, the technical excellence, the podium on which we've stood in the past, there'll be a greater emphasis on making sure that we remain commercially relevant and have an understanding, of all things other than just the profession, with which you're charged. Having talent which is not just technical talent, but a more shift towards a business, business savvy talent. We're in the middle of rolling out here a 12-week, what we refer to as a transition to business advisory, for our accounting team, to make sure that they, are that business savvy, to their clients. Fixed cost practitioners, so going from an employee-based operation where you have variable cost, practitioners, as I talked to you before in the law thing with Vincents Mason and stuff like that. They have a network that they can source from, for particular projects. Sustaining technology to disruptive technology. No surprises here. I mean, get used to disruption. It's certainly here to stay. And I know just even within our own client network, we're seeing the development of things that will throw industries, on their ears and take them, completely by surprise. And it's all based around this pushing this disruptive technology into the marketplace, moving, in terms of how firms governed. And these are sort of, these are interesting concepts, and ones again that I don't necessarily agree with, but some that you understand, where they're heading, why they're making the comments. So, going from an organisation where you just have continuous improvements to just one that's lean and agile, moving from partnership structures to a more corporatized model. And the one, I guess, that has the biggest I guess observation from my perspective is, having, going from an owner restricted model where you might just say have professional service providers as equity holders within your businesses, having, external stakeholders. Why? I think simply when you talk to people about this sort of model, it's just really stemmed around, an accountability for something, to someone outside the organisation because they have an investment. Had the opportunity to talk to a number of firms who had external shareholders, and I guess their challenge for them is, yep, it does create an accountability thing, but it can also potentially take away the the focus on the clients. So a heap of information contained, within there, and I guess as owners of businesses and partners of firms and those sorts of things, what do you do? Where do we go to from here? Well, you could bury your head in the sand, and that's certainly an option. people, I think, will see a, as the next couple of years go by, I think we'll see businesses, increasingly being put on the market. We're seeing some of the bigger firms, taking over some of the smaller firms around the place. If you, subscribe to the Accountants Daily, or if you just looking at some of the bigger firms like Slater Gordon and stuff like that, in terms of where they're heading, with the marketplace, they're looking for scalability. They're looking for the client base in which to push their particular commoditized offerings out to, because they've either got the systems and processes in place, to roll these out, or you can take the challenge on board, have that understanding, of where things are heading, and go, okay, what changes do I need to make in my business, or the way in which I engage with my clients. So a fair amount in there, and I'm right on the time delivery for the 30 minutes and being respectful. I'm happy to take any questions if you want to type a question in the box now, or certainly email me drose@vincents.com.au. I hope that that piece of information has been valuable to you, just to help you get that understanding.